Hey guys, it's Friday, May the 17th. Happy Friday to you. Hopefully, if you're ending your work week, then I hope you're having an amazing day and have some great plans for the weekend. Today is day 17 of Celiac Awareness Month, and I'm covering different topics every day to help raise awareness and help educate and advocate for those of us with celiac disease. Today's topic is gluten in medicines, prescription and over the counter. This might be shocking to some people. What do you mean there's gluten in medicine? What do you mean I have to start reading my labels on even medicines that I take? Shouldn't my doctor know? Shouldn't my pharmacy know? Well, even if they know, it's a little bit harder. So, first of all, who am I? What am I talking about this for? And where am I coming from? All right, my name is Tracy, otherwise known as Healthy Happy Momsy. I am a certified health and wellness coach. I had 17 years of pharmaceutical sales experience prior to becoming a work-at-home mom 2 years ago. And I was diagnosed with celiac 10 years ago as a result of some health challenges that my daughter was going through. So I have been doing a ton of research on this and am a huge advocate for letting people know kind of what's going on and for helping people to figure out how to live their healthiest lives and to be able to figure out how to navigate celiac disease, because it is a little bit intimidating. Every time that we feel like that maybe we've got something under control, we know what we're talking about, then something else kind of pops up to look out for. So medicines, over the counter and prescription. This is something that I don't even remember at what point this kind of dawned on me that I needed to figure this out. But like I said, I worked in pharmaceutical sales for 17 years, and I remembered one of the medicines that I sold at one point. I had a customer ask me about the medicine because it was a gel-coated capsule, and he had a patient who was a vegan. I didn't know that they needed to know the source of the coating because of that. So there's just stuff that I'd never even thought about. But after that point on, I thought, gosh, there's so much I never even thought about it. Because when it comes to medicines, there's branded medicine and there's generic medicine. And for a medicine to be considered the bioequivalent when it's generic, and I'm sorry because I didn't look this up to remind myself, I've been out of the game for 2 years, so it's either 80 or 85% bioequivalency that the generic medicine has to be in order for it to be approved and to be considered therapeutically equivalent to the branded medicine. So what that means is you can have 15 to 20% of the medicine kind of a little bit off, and also it means that their fillers can be something different than what the fillers are in the branded medicine. So why is this really such a big deal? So I'm going to cover a little bit about the prescription, a little bit about the over-the-counter, and then also about some legislation that's currently going on right now for you guys. So anyway, the branded medicine or the prescription medicine. The branded medicine, usually the easy thing about that is you can contact the manufacturer. You can find out what the fillers are. Is there gluten in it? That's usually kind of the easier situation. But the reality is what's going on when it comes to medicine, when it comes to prescriptions, there's a lot of push, of course, to bring down the cost of healthcare, which is important. I'm not getting into a political debate here. But everybody's always looking for different ways to save, and I am as well. As a single mom, that's just one of those things. Having done the Dave Ramsey program, I'm a big advocate of figuring out how to save money, how to help others to save money. And so generic medicine is usually the first choice, and pharmacists will use that. Then when they use the generic medicine, what they do is they will use whichever generic happens to be less expensive for them when they're buying their, when they're putting their order in. So the generic manufacturer can change from one order to the next. This is why when you get your prescription filled for your medicine, you might notice that when you got it filled this month, that maybe the pill was blue and green. And next month when you go get it filled, that the pill is yellow, but it still has the same name on it. It still has the same dose on it. But what's changed is that the manufacturer has changed. And when it comes to the generic manufacturers, this is where it gets a little bit slippery, because they don't always label what all of their fillers are, what the other ingredients are, and the pharmacist can't always get a hold of the generic manufacturer to find out what the fillers are. So that can cause some major problems. So if you're noticing that you're still having some outbreaks, I do encourage, or some flare-ups, I do encourage people to track not just their food, but also their medicine and their symptoms and the timing to see if you can figure out what's triggering that. It could very well be your medicine, prescription or over the counter. If the thing that seems to be triggering it, once you've kept a good symptom and intake diary or log, is showing that it appears to be your medicine, then definitely I would work with your doctor, with your pharmacist to get that taken care of. But right now, there's no legislation that is currently being enforced for generic manufacturers or for manufacturers of any kind of medicine to actually declare what all of those inactive ingredients are. When it comes to, like I said, branded medicine, usually you can get a good answer on that. So we'll talk about the legislation that's up for, that's currently being proposed right now in a minute. But the other thing is, what about over-the-counter stuff? Well, over-the-counter stuff can be another issue. And some companies are better than others, so I actually brought in 2 bottles to share with you guys. So when it comes to over-the-counter, read your labels. Look for gluten-free. Do not assume that it is gluten-free. There's a big debate when it comes to certain types of Advil. I believe it's actually the gel caps. I use very little medicines, by the way. So, 17 years of pharma, and I use very little medicine because I believe in doing a lot more naturally when it comes to changing my diet, things like that, because usually I can manage a lot more that way. But I do believe that it's Advil, and I want to say it's their gel caps that actually have gluten in them. There is a list that you can pull up. I'll put the link in here. There's a list you can pull up of medicine that is safe, that is considered to be gluten-free. But when you're going to get your over-the-counter stuff, one thing that I want to encourage you is, and by the way, sorry, that list, the last time I looked, it had not been updated in a few years. So that would definitely be an issue with making sure you've got correct information, especially with the generic manufacturers, especially with some of the different manufacturing practices that can happen with over-the-counter. So I will pull it to see if there's an updated list, and I will make sure that you know the date on that list. And I'll put that link in the comments. But one of the brands that is really good about labeling their stuff is actually the Target Up and Up. Green bottle. Sorry, guys. The green screen I didn't think about that. But hopefully you can see right there. There we go. Where it says gluten-free. So they actually do, and this is a generic of Zyrtec. I've had 2 people in my house with some allergy issues lately, so I went and got some generic Zyrtec from Target. They do actually have the gluten-free label very clear. It's red. Another one, this would be the children's ibuprofen. This is going to be fun because this label is actually green. The bottle's not green, but the label is. So, okay. Sorry. It's kind of, there we go. Let's see if you can actually see it. Gluten-free right there. Oh, you actually can read it. Sweet. Even though it's blue, it shows gluten-free. So, you're looking for it to be clearly labeled because the label is out there with different manufacturers. So that's something to definitely be aware of. Make sure that you're looking and don't assume. And one flavor, especially with kids meds, you could have something that the flavor, like if it has raspberry flavor or whatever, hey, that's fine. The next time you go and you're like, oh, my daughter asked me if I could get the grape kind or the bubblegum flavor this time. Read the label. Do not assume that all of the flavors are also going to be gluten-free. Like I said, Target, their Up and Up brand is really, really good about it. And that's one of those tips that I read about and have been able to use from some of the gluten-free groups within Facebook. Finally, I did say that there is actually a bill being proposed right now. So that is HR 2074, the Gluten in Medicine Disclosure Act of 2019. This was proposed back in, I believe it was in April. Yeah, so April 3rd, 2019 was the last update that is showing, because I did do some research before going live today to find out where is this bill. I had written to my local representative, and that is something to do that is very important to do. So if you are in favor of being able to know basically what this bill does to the HR, I love all the ads I have to scroll through, HR 2074, Gluten in Medicine Disclosure Act of 2019. What this bill is actually requesting is that manufacturers have to disclose when there is gluten in their medicine. So this will cover prescription medicine, branded medicine, generic medicine, over-the-counter medicine. And it's just to label if there is gluten in any of the medicines. So that's what Senator Tim Ryan, actually of Ohio, is who proposed this bill. So what we did, and this has been very commonly shared within the celiac community, within gluten-free groups, is to write to your local representative. You can actually pull up online who your local representative is and let them know that you support this bill and you request that they support this bill. Like I said, I did a little bit of research before getting online, and I saw where in 2013 this was first introduced, actually, and then in 2015 this was introduced again, but this has not come to fruition yet. So in 2019 it has been proposed once again, and right now it's just kind of waiting to see what happens. So if the bill has further action, the following steps can occur, which is pass the committee, pass it in the House, and then passed in the Senate and signed by the president. But it's the early phases of the bill. So what you can do, like I said, write to your local representative. And then also I did phone a friend who previously worked with a member of Congress and asked her, what do I do to find out information? What are the next steps? And she actually passed along the email contact information for the person that is working on this bill. And sorry, let me try to get back in here. Yeah, the staffer that is handling this resolution, and she sent me the email. So I will also post that in the comments below, so you can also write to the staffer that is handling this bill to let them know that you're in support of it, to help basically to flood them with the need for this bill and the importance of this bill. I understand celiac only impacts 1% of the population. Non-celiac gluten sensitivity, 6% of the population in the US. So you got 7% of the population, but what happens is you go to get a medicine, whether it's over the counter or prescription, in order to treat one thing that's going on with your body. And if you're going to get that medicine, and then when you go to get that medicine, you end up triggering a reaction to one or more other parts in your body because you have a problem with your body handling gluten, then that's not going to do you a whole lot of good. It might take care of one issue, but it's now causing another. So let's get the information out there. Let's get the word out there. Get this bill passed. Please reach out to your friends. Ask them to write to their local representatives and ask for the support for this bill. And if you have any other questions that you want me to address, this actually came from one of the celiac parenting groups that I said, hey, what do you guys want me to cover? And this was a hot topic that people asked me to discuss, to share some information about that. Tomorrow's topic actually comes from another conversation that I was having with a mom whose child has other allergies. And just thinking about this, and it's kind of related as well, because some other moms said that they have challenges with knowing what to ask for their children in school. How do they handle 504s? How do they handle accommodations? Things like that. So I will be discussing that tomorrow. How do you handle the cross-contamination? How do you handle other allergies or other allergies in the classroom when you're also trying to make sure your child who has celiac and therefore can't be exposed to gluten, how do you keep your child safe as well? So I will cover that tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing day. If you have questions you want me to cover, please post it in the comments below. If you find this information helpful, please pass it on. And please, guys, with this bill, we want the awareness to get out there. So I'm going to ask you to please at least pass that information on to your friends, to those that you know that will advocate to get the word out there. And thank you guys so much. Have an amazing day. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 12:30.